Well, I'll just keep talking until we have sound. We have sound now? Yeah. Once again, welcome to Unnecessary Roughness.
Run that back, Brandon.
This episode brought to you by DraftKings. DraftKings, you all know our partners at DraftKings. Here's another reason to watch your favorite players crush it in the playoffs. New customers bet $5, get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Score big during the NFL playoffs with DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use code ROUGH. That's code ROUGH for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. Kayce, this is our sixth national title game together. This is the first time we'll ever do a national title recap when the Ohio State Buckeyes have won. Our friend Big Ev is on the show. We'll be here shortly. He's just filming some merch promos and other stuff that he has to do and enjoying himself. He'll join. But long road to get here. We had the 12-team playoff for the first time. Exciting regular season. We have a champion who lost twice, including their rival game to Michigan. Wild season to get here.
And conference realignment, which feels like that was a million years ago. This is, and obviously anybody who doubted Ryan Day, me included, I know you didn't after they lost to Michigan, you put a future on them to win the national title. Like, this is a gigantic moment, obviously, for Ryan Day, because all the being soft and being emotionally unable to handle these moments, like, that's out the window now, being born on third base. Like, you can make fun of them losing to Michigan all you want. They're national titles. They're champions, and I understand people are like, well, they lost 2 times in the regular season, like that waters it down. If you go through a bracket the way that they had to go through a bracket, especially the way that the seeding worked this year, which was bullshit, I hope they change that. The way that Ohio State had to win this national championship, it's nothing short of amazing, and they tried to make it a little close at the end. Tried to make it a little stressful. Me picking Ohio State the day they lost to Michigan, I did it an hour after I put in the bet, and I told all my friends, bet it. This is the best discount you'll get on them this year. And it was never about belief in Ryan Day. It was never really in belief about Ohio State. It was just my knowledge that this was the best team in the country the whole time. This composition of players, this offense and defense, this is the best team in the country. It was the best team in the country all year. They went through some mental anguish and just absolute hellfire and brimstone to lose that Michigan game, but they came out of it a tougher team, a better team. They won all 4 playoff games by at least double digits. Their run was – and they made the teams look so bad. They beat a good Tennessee team. And I know when Tennessee lost, we're like, oh, my God, they're not good. They beat a good Tennessee team. They beat a good Oregon team, undefeated, number one, beat the shit out of them. They beat Texas by 2 touchdowns. And now tonight, they probably play their A game in the first half and their C- game in the second half, and they still win by double digits. It was just a team that They had enough lapses to make this game close, just like they had enough lapses to lose to Michigan, to lose that first one to Oregon. But ultimately, if you look across, Jeremiah Smith, he's the best receiver in the country. Igbuka's probably a top 10 receiver in the country. Carnell Tate's probably a top 30 receiver in the country. Running backs, come on in with your champagne and your wine and come on in, big boy. Congratulations, Ev.
For the first time in this podcast history, we're joined by a national champion on our recap.
I can't imagine that feeling.
I was just saying, Big Av, my belief in Ryan Day and Ohio State when I bet them to win the national title after Michigan, it wasn't about believing in Ryan Day or believing in miracles or anything like that. It was believing and it was knowing that this roster was the best team in the country the whole time. And for the last 4 games, they have set out on one of the great postseason journeys we've ever seen. They proved it.
It was the most difficult run in the history of college football.
Yeah.
Those 4 teams, they go from Tennessee, Oregon, Texas, Notre Dame. That's a murderous road. This team has the most top 10 wins in the history of college football.
Yeah.
They were the best team by far. It just took, listen, they had to take their lumps to show it.
Yeah.
They did, but listen, when it was nut cutting time, they came to play.
Yep.
And I need to say this because I've given Ryan Day more shit than anyone. This is me personally apologizing to Ryan Day.
All it took was a national championship.
Imagine.
All it took. I've been on the band, like the way they responded to Tennessee, I was back.
Yeah, you were back.
The way they responded, because for them to come out and just jump on them the way they did. This team was motivated. They had something to prove. This senior class, they came back. This is what they came back for.
Yeah. Oh, Jack Sawyer,
JTT, Denzel Burke, Cody Simon. All
Travion Henderson.
Igbuka. All these guys, man. They all could have went to the draft.
Yeah.
They all could have been top 3-4 round picks, been the pros this year, made money. They came back for this week because they care about each other. They care about this team. And I saw seeing the way they responded today really, even furthermore, more than just the results in the field, changed the way I felt about him, where like he's not a pussy. They care about him. They really, really do care about him. And he's a great football coach. There's nothing else to say. I mean, if you still think he's a bad coach at this point, I mean, you can kiss his national championship winning ass.
You know what I said?
That's it. He's a national championship winning coach.
He's top 4 all time in winning percentage.
Before you came in here, I said that the born on third base is officially dead. Like no one can ever use that again. Like that is dead. Like every narrative about Ryan Day has to die right now because, like you said, it was a hard road to get there. And yes, we've seen playoff teams, when they have to win 2 games in the 14 playoff. But the way that Ohio State responded, and even in the second half of this game when it started to get a little bit testy, like they did exactly what they needed to do. And I mean, I don't know what week it was, Brandon, that you said this. I mean, maybe it was after losing to Oregon, but you said you were like the entire roster, that is the most elite roster in the country. And then they went to Dollar General and they got Will Howard because at the time that's what it looked like. And then all of a sudden after the Michigan game, it was like, that Dollar General got upgraded.
Well, they took the shackles off of him.
Right.
They decided, you know what, we got Will Howard, and Will Howard is throwing to not just the best receiver in the country in Jeremiah Smith, but also the best receiving core. They started involving Igbuka more and Tate more and spreading it around more, and then you started getting Judkins out of the backfield more and Travion Henderson, and then you open Will Howard up. And Will Howard, I shit on him back in the middle of the season.
That was fair.
I shit on him at times because he would mess up, but boy, when they got to the playoff, Will Howard was a different animal, and he was a different animal because everybody around him was a different animal because the coaches were different animals. The coaches came out in that Tennessee game, and their bounds were off. They were not. We're not going to run on first and second down every time. We're gonna spread it out, and we're going to be wide open, and we're going to let the horses run. And they ran to a national championship. Blutman, I haven't let you speak yet.
I didn't know if he was.
Well, he's holding up pretty good. He's holding up pretty good.
Completely fine. Yeah.
Blutman, You picked Notre Dame to win the playoff when we first started the playoff. You aptly picked them to go to the national title game. But then in the lead up to this game, you realized, Ohio State's a better team. You picked Ohio State to win by 2 touchdowns, and this kind of went the way you thought.
I don't think realize is the correct term. I think I understood that this was a seismic mismatch, and while the final score was just 11 points, this thing wasn't remote. This thing should not have been remotely close.
Yeah.
It is an anomaly that this game was as thin as it was, honestly, and that the margins at the end were so scary. And like you said, it became nut-cutting time. It should not have gotten close to that. They should have won this. They should have put 40+. They should have coasted this win.
Yeah.
Whatever. When the going got tough, they figure it out. I got really annoyed, as we all did, because they botched that final drive for the most part. They were snapping the ball way too early.
Yeah.
They're playing conservative, soft, gross. We just want to make sure we don't turn it over. Let's let Will Howard take these little sweeps and powers and make sure we don't turn over. Then when things got difficult,
they broke the Jeremiah Smith
finally
glass.
They throw the ball to Jeremiah Smith, who had 1 target in the second half. Like that stuff. It's so aggravating that even in a national championship winning game, that stuff is still happening. To me, that's aggravating because I think we're all very understanding, cognizant of the fact this team should have won by 20+, and they should not have gotten close.
Well, Igbuka also fumbled.
Correct.
There was a lot of things that went wrong in the second half.
There were silly mistakes, but they played the second half like our entire cave acted in the second half, that the national championship was over. You can't take your foot off the gas. You have to keep going. You have to keep going full throttle, 100 miles per hour. And the second half, they're playing at 45. Is what it is.
Notre Dame also, you got to give them credit. They were outmanned. They were outgunned. Ohio State's better almost at every position across the field. But they fought and they fought and they fought and they cut it to 16. Then they cut it to 8 and they fought. And in the first half, when Ohio State was really operating, we saw the difference in the two teams. They just absolutely smoked them. But Ohio State made some boneheaded mistakes. They made some boneheaded penalties in the second half. They opened the door. And Notre Dame almost got all the way through that door before they, again, broke the Jeremiah Smith glass and said, you know what, fuck it. We just got the best player. I'm going to throw it up there, and he's going to run. And we're going to get a field goal off of that. Doing that, and then we're going to dive more into kind of the journey to get here.
Yeah, I also have a question for Ev after this, but I know, Ev, you're going to be sleeping nicey tonight. You're going to be sleeping on those Boll and Branch sheets. Actually, no, you won't, because you'll be in Chicago, but when you get back to New York and New Jersey, you're going to be sleeping on those Boll and Branch sheets. Liam needs to. Liam needs to. He's been up for how many hours now?
His sleep's going to feel so good.
For about 37 straight hours.
So for those that don't know, he's been streaming for almost
pretty much 40, yeah.
Yeah, 40 hours. So Boll and Branch, we love those sheets. They are the absolute best sheets on the planet, no matter what kind of day you had. It's instant relaxation. They're buttery soft, and they get even softer with each wash, which is huge. It's a 30-night guarantee. Boll and Branch, I love them. They have the robes, they have the pajamas, and like I said, sheets, crib sheets. My son sleeps like a king on them. They are unmatched softness. They know exactly where all the cotton comes from. Brandon, the highest thread count you can possibly get. So change the way you sleep with Boll and Branch. That's BOLLAND, BRANCH.com. Promo code ROUGH.
Yes.
Promo code ROUGH. Save 15% off. Again, BOLLAND, branch.com. Promo code ROUGH. Sleep like a king or a national champion tonight, Brandon.
What's your question for Ev?
How good does this feel? Like, and I know that that's such like a cliche question, but I'm like, how good does this feel?
Well, let's just be honest before he answers it.
Amazing. But I want
you and I will never feel this.
Never. We'll never feel
We will never feel this.
So when they were celebrating,
Blutman will never feel this.
When they were celebrating in the cave, and by the way, Tate popping the too much early on. Regardless, Mincy, Brandon, and I were all standing in the back, and I looked at all three of us, and I was like, you know that none of us will.
We're never going there. No.
Now, of the three of us, I feel like I maybe have the best shot.
You do.
But we're never gonna feel this. Ev, how does this feel? I just need to know.
It feels good, really good. I want to be insufferable. I want everyone to know that. Like I want very quickly to people be done being happy for me and just be like, we want him to lose. That's the best spot to be. That's I want to keep just winning and winning and winning. I'm drunk off this feeling. I need more champagne. I need more liquor. Mm-hmm. Definitely gonna smoke some Notre Dame pack later when I get back to the hotel for sure.
Yeah.
I can't describe it. This has been the most roller coaster season I think imaginable. I mean, just everything this team has been through. I mean, I feel like I've eaten so much shit the last 4 years. This is the best thing in the world. Yeah. It also just feels so good to in the end just be right.
What about the little dwarf that's out there right now and wants to troll you about Michigan?
Could not be less concerned. This is the thing. I'll address it because it's being brought to me. There's such a poverty program and so powerless.
Yeah.
They beat us and it doesn't even matter.
No, it doesn't.
That little scrimmage in November.
Right.
Who gives a fuck? I'm a champion.
We play for one thing in this sport. We play for the national championship.
That's right.
Now, I will say this. From the outside looking in at that rivalry, this is remarkable for the rivalry.
Yes.
Like Michigan won the national title last year, however they did it. Then they beat you this year. Then you win the national title. You both have these gigantic – imagine when you play next year and they're a little bit better. Y'all are still really good. And you have these gigantic things that you can bring to the table. They beat you. They beat you, so they have that over you. You won the national title. You have that over everybody in the fucking sport.
That's right.
So what they did is peanuts to what you did, but that will not shut them up ever about what they did. And that's what this sport's built. Just little petty, stupid shit that we will carry with us. They won a game that was meaningless that got them to what? The ReliaQuest Bowl?
Exactly.
Yay, good for you. But every time they see you in public, they're going to be like, we beat you, we beat you, we beat you. So it's phenomenal for the sport, but ultimately what they did didn't matter. What you guys did matters.
We're the national. There's nothing you can say. We're the champs.
Yeah.
What is like if
This could have happened 2 years ago. Remember when you almost beat Georgia and you would have beat TCU by 1,000?
Yes.
This almost happened then. It has happened now.
They're powerless. They're a poverty program. They're a program that lose 5 games. We don't do that ever. Losing 5 games for Ohio State is unthinkable. Last time it happened, it was like fickle, like chaos was ensuing at that time. We would never lose 5 games.
It also does make it so much better that they are back-to-back national champions, too. Like, the game next year,
they're the last 2 national titles.
It's going to be unreal because you do have the element, obviously, of losing them. Doesn't matter. I completely agree with you. Like, you can losing to your rivals sucks. If you win the national title, whatever. But the fact that they're the last 2 national champions and they're going to be playing again, it's just like this is what makes college football so much better than every sport, in my opinion. Like, it really does. Like, they do have that over you, but who fucking cares? You have a banner. Well, they have a banner from last year.
I said it before. If you told me I could lose to Michigan every year, but I win the national title every year, I'm not even thinking. Yes, please.
Yeah, you take that.
Yes, please.
And anybody who says they wouldn't, by the way, and not just in the Ohio State Michigan
is lying
rivalry,
or
is lying.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
it's just Michigan people
whether it's the
trying to
Iron
make,
Bowl, whether it's the Egg
Michigan
Bowl.
people trying to make themselves feel more important than they are. They're not. They're nothing.
Yeah,
they're nothing. They can't stop us from winning a national title. They're irrelevant.
If they win again, like let's say Ohio State wins next year, like does the whole narrative flip where then it's like back? Because
this could be the floodgates moment.
We're the champs. Like we're the champs.
This is a team that has been, we had the Georgia moment a couple of years ago, which if they handle that last minute better, they probably win the national title that year. They have the year that they just they lost to an impossible Alabama team with Mac Jones and Devontae Smith. Yeah, they've been around this green the whole time. The putt finally fell tonight. Ryan Day, again, top 4 all-time in winning percentage, finally has a national title. He's not going to stop paying for transfers. He's not going to stop getting the best recruits. He's not going to stop having rosters that are the best roster in the country. Caleb Downs will be on this team next year. Jeremiah Smith will be on this team next year. Carnell Tate will be on this team next year. Running backs are moving out. Guess what? They'll have elite running backs on this team next year.
C.J. Donaldson.
Yeah. They spent $20 million on this roster, $20 million plus whatever. Like that's my thing is like when you look at these obviously like the dynasties in college football that we've seen in our lifetime, like there's nothing that's telling me that Ohio State's going to fall off the planet next year. I mean, we knew with Michigan that, losing Jim Harbaugh, losing J.J. McCarthy, losing Blake Corum, you can go down the list, like that's going to be a completely different roster, completely different team, completely different program. That's not the way it's going to be for Ohio State. Like that's why to me it's like, oh, holy shit, like this is Ohio State's not only moment to get over what happened with Ryan Day, to get over losing to Michigan and the seniors going 0-4 against who fucking cares? You won the national title, and now it's like, oh my God, are we watching an Ohio State like budding dynasty happen? I know that's probably too early to say, but is it crazy?
They're always around it, so it's not like listen, in this era of college football, I'm just going to go ahead and spoil it. Georgia, Ohio State, Texas, 3 or 4 more are going to be around this thing for the next 10 years. They just are. And this format, this year we kind of had a little gate crasher where I think Notre Dame probably wasn't. They definitely weren't the second best team in the country, but they played for it. Yeah, Blutman.
Just the uneven sides of the bracket. That's
right, which
I
said off the top.
This bracket ended up crazy. Now, listen, in hindsight's 20/20, right? Like the way it all played out with Georgia winning that SEC championship game. With a backup quarterback kind of forced them into that side of the bracket that made it weaker. They would have beat Notre Dame in any other normal circumstance. I think Penn State was a better team than Notre Dame. But, again, Notre Dame had fight and resolve, and their coach is tough, and their quarterback is tough. Let's talk about the actual game tonight. Let's talk about the actual physical game because credit where credit's due. Notre Dame comes out. They get the ball. They go on a historic 18-play drive, 75 yards. It takes up 10 minutes, and if you were Pablo Picasso and you were trying to paint Notre Dame's perfect game plan, how they could win this game, that drive was it. And then it meant nothing. Ohio State erased it in 3 minutes and then took a 2-touchdown lead in the second quarter. But I got a question. Did that ruin Riley Leonard for the rest of the night?
Well, I was going to ask Ev that because, first of all, you saw the report that he was, throwing up on the sidelines after.
Get 9 carries in 1 drive.
And everybody was like, is he concussed? But, from your standpoint, Ev, because obviously we're watching this methodical drive. We're like, oh, holy shit, Ohio State can't stop the run. How nervous did you get in watching that? Was that,
I was nervous, but I said this to Bryn at halftime. This Ohio State team had kind of done that all year where, I feel like every game, even Marshall, a few even, bad teams, I think maybe – and they would always give up that one first methodical drive where they let up 7 and they usually just wouldn't let them score again.
Yeah.
Now they let up a couple plays in the second half, obviously, to Great House, but they did that all year, so I wasn't that nervous. I was once we had the ball again and went down and scored, I was like, oh, we're fine. And I just saw the way we methodically just moved the ball down the field. I was like, okay, we're going to be just fine. And Chip Kelly, I thought overall called a great game, but I'd say my panic meter was like a 2, at most.
Did I tell you my theory that I came up with at halftime? Ohio State let it happen on purpose to run Riley Leonard out. Just said, you know what? Run him.
What a conspiracy theory that is.
Run him.
And when you run him, he's going to pick up 4 yards. We're going to punish him.
We're going to hurt him. Oh. We're going to punish him. But 9 carries. Now, obviously they didn't do that. But that first drive, Ohio State was so basic on defense. They had four down linemen. They had 2 backers. They had 6 in the box almost every time. And that wasn't the game plan to stop a running attack of Notre Dame. That was almost daring them and letting them get down the field. I was like, why are they doing that? And then they did tighten it up. But it was, once again, it was kind of a feeling out thing. And I think that was every punch Notre Dame had in their body in that first half. And once that was gone, Ohio State just kind of got up off the mat and said, well, here we go.
It felt like when you're watching a track meet, right? And you see the first person just, right out the blocks. You're just like, oh my God, like this is, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, well, wait a minute. But the thing about it to me that from a standpoint of like, I bet on Notre Dame. I thought Ohio State was going to win the game. What made me nervous is exactly what you just mentioned, was the fact that like it seemed like Ohio State we all knew exactly what Notre Dame was going to do. Everybody on the planet knew that it was going to be Riley Leonard and he was going to it seemed to me so obvious, and that Ohio State couldn't stop it. Now, it doesn't matter because they turned around, they punched right back, they caught up, and the rest is history. But it also goes back to what we've been saying about Notre Dame, is that even when they got down, they were down, 3 scores in the third quarter, they really did bend but not break. Obviously they lost the game tonight, but there's something that's so tough about this team and so tough about Marcus Freeman. Obviously tonight's all about Ohio State, but credit to Notre Dame that even in all of these games we've watched them play, except for in week 2, they are fucking tough. They are a tough team. Now, they're outmatched. They have way less, not way less, but a considerably less talent in Ohio State. But that first drive showed how tough they were, showed how tough Riley Leonard is. And, like, if you're a Notre Dame fan, it sucks tonight. It's going to suck until next year. You still got to feel pretty good about what you have.
They maxed out their capability this year, I think. I think they absolutely maxed it out. I think they had a dream season. They got to play for a national title. This, to me, is like TCU a couple of years ago. Like, they played for a national title. This was the exact ceiling of that team. This was the ceiling of Notre Dame. They weren't beating anybody tonight.
Well, TCU also got the shit
this team
out
was
of them.
Way better than that TCU team was.
At least,
but,
like, they made it at least. But, yes, I understand what you're saying.
Like, this team wasn't as good as Texas. It wasn't as good as
I disagree. I think that this is the one team that they were just completely outmatched against, and I think that they could have beat Texas because their play style, it was so good.
Yeah.
Their identity was so good, and I think you're wrong here. I think that they have competed with almost everyone else.
I think I think an 11-point loss to Ohio State tonight was their absolute ceiling. I think Ohio State's probably 30 points better than that team.
I agree with
I think other teams are just, I think Penn State blew an all-time opportunity to play for a national title. Penn State's better than Notre Dame. I think Texas is better than Notre Dame. This is what I think.
I'm just saying, what would Penn State have done tonight?
They would have gotten killed. They would have gotten killed.
That game's over in the first quarter.
Ohio State's the best team by a mile.
I think that it's not even.
But I don't think Notre Dame was the second best team.
You could say Penn State blew an opportunity.
Yeah.
And then if
Oregon's better. Oregon's better than Notre Dame.
Notre Dame had blown the same opportunity because, what the heck?
It played out like it played out. Like they got here. It's
played
great.
out how it should have.
It played out.
Notre Dame was the best team on their side of the bracket.
On their side of the bracket, correct.
That's just a fact.
Right. What do you think I'm saying?
Well, you brought up Penn State.
That's fine. But like Oregon was better than this team. Texas was better than this team. It's just fine.
I honestly think Notre Dame would have competed with Oregon. I think that they have competed. I think that they would have competed and pretty much beat everyone else except for Ohio State. And I agree with you that Ohio State is 25, 30 plus points better. That's just where we're at.
Ohio State was just the best team in the country.
I think you're just
significantly. And we'll. I think we'll.
Levis. Were you about to say Will Levis?
No, I was going to say we'll look back. If Ohio State had won this game by 30, like they possibly could have, we would look back and saying, how did that team ever lose 2 games? As it is, they won by 11. It looks a lot more normal than it really was, and we'll just say, that's a national championship game, national championship team. Now, they did not have an all-time great season, but I think this is an all-time talented team.
It's an all-time great team, but because they have those 2 losses,
it wasn't an all-time great season.
But at the end of the day,
it doesn't matter.
Who fucking cares?
They won the national title.
Ev, like you said.
Yeah.
Rocket money.
We got a shit ton of them.
I know we got. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
We're making money over here,
we're making money, folks. I don't know what to tell you. And speaking of making money, we all know that like you have so many subscriptions out there. You subscribe to them, whether it's on your phone, your computer, your TV, whatever. You forget about them. But with Rocket Money, it can help you save that money because it'll cancel your unwanted subscriptions. And every single month you can go and it'll show you every single one that you've subscribed to. If you want them to do it, they will do it for you right there. It monitors your spending. It helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. Rocket Money's dashboard gives you a clear view of your expenses across all your accounts. It's helped over 5 million users. It saves $500 million in canceled subscriptions and up to $740 a year in those canceled subscriptions when you use all of the app's premium features. So I've been using Rocket Money long before it was a friend of our podcast, Brandon. I know it's big for you with all your kids and such. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster in 2025 with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/rough. That's rocketmoney.com/rough. Go to rocketmoney.com/rough today. Brandon, speaking of money.
Yeah.
I know you were sweating. I think you broke your hand.
I did hurt my hand.
I mean, this is all about Ev tonight. Ev is the national champion.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you, Ev, there was a moment where
it got touch and go.
I was worried for Ev's mental health as a whole whenever they cut it down to one score. When they cut it down to one score and I watched how hard you hit your hand, I was like, oh, boy, we were going to have two.
Well, it wasn't that they cut it to one score. It's that they cut it inside 8.5.
Well, right, but that's what I'm saying.
When they cut it to eight when they needed 2 touchdowns and 2 2-point conversions to go from 24 to 8, and they got it, I'm like, these motherfuckers.
But you knew Ryan Day was going to cover. That man was not going to go out without.
But that wasn't like covering points. Those were real points.
Well, right.
He had to make it a 2-score game again.
Get as much off the clock as you can. Get the field goal. They have 25
games over.
No timeouts. Up 11. Games over. Good teams win. Great teams cover.
Big F.
All 4 games.
Outside of Evan McDowell,
yeah.
Who do you feel best for tonight?
Oh,
Ryan Day, easily. And
not Jack Sawyer.
Ryan Day and his family.
Yeah.
Sawyer is definitely would be next on the list, but Ryan Day and me, I've given Ryan Day as much shit as anyone. So I mean, him and his family have definitely taken a lot of shit that they didn't deserve, and like I said, from me obviously as well, and a lot of the fan base, so much shit I've heard. I almost felt bad here more of it as they're going on the Tennessee game after about his kids in school and this and that, and this is something that he's never complained about ever.
Yeah.
And I give him a lot of credit for that because I could see the first time someone cross line with your kids and you start the whole thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it.
Kill
so
somebody.
Ryan Day easily, and he deserves it. He's an unbelievable coach. I mean,
does this end all debate? I mean, he is one of the very best coaches in college football now. One of the top 3 coaches for sure. Could be in the running for one. Certainly. I don't have time to put the list in my head and everything. But
with Saban gone, it's who's anyone's to claim. I mean,
you got Kirby, Dabo.
Yeah, Kirby, Dabo. Dabo's star has kind of fallen. I think Sark has put himself in the conversation over the last few years. But Ryan Day's 1 or 2, right? I mean,
if you have a national title, you have to be.
Flags fly forever. Anyone has to say he's a national champion. He's won a national title forever. The rest of his life, when you say national championship winning head coaches, you have to say Ryan Day's name.
We already said it, but Will Howard too went through some shit. The quarterback position at Ohio State kind of last year wasn't exactly where they wanted to be. And then Will Howard comes in and he struggles in a couple of games, and everybody wants to point at Kyle McCord putting up video game numbers at Syracuse saying, well, look at this, look at this, look at this. Meanwhile, Will Howard just puts his head down. He also, like you said, Ryan Day never complained about anything. To my knowledge, Will Howard never complained about anything.
Never.
He just kind of kept going. The loss to Michigan was embarrassing, and
Oregon game for him was really tough.
He's the leader of that.
Oregon game, the first one, obviously.
The way that game ended was because that was
on
just
a goof,
brutal goof.
Blutman, you and I probably have been as vocal against Will Howard as anybody. You pointed out the goofs before, and you even came up with the word goofs for him.
And the lick.
So these playoffs were a huge redemption tour for him.
Yeah, I spoke about it last week, and I think the episode before that. He's just done a tremendous job in improving week to week. He is not even close to being the same quarterback right now that he was last year at Kansas State, that he was week 1 at Ohio State, that he was against Oregon, that he was against Michigan. There's a constant improvement in his game, and it's a testament to how hard he works and grinds and truly does care about himself, his play, the program's play, everything, fans, whatever. Hand up, I was wrong. I didn't think they could win a title with them. And then, they blow the doors off Tennessee, and I know I'm dead. I'm a dead man walking.
Yeah.
Is what it is. I've grown to like Will Howard, and that's part of the business. You're gonna be wrong.
Of course,
at least sometimes be like, hey, I was wrong.
But that's part of loving the sport.
Correct. And now, I like the guy. I'm rooting for him. I think he can be. I said last week, I think he could be a legit NFL quarterback that they're seriously going to look at and evaluate and say, hey, this is a really weak quarterback class. What about Will Howard? Look at what he did developmental-wise. Look at what he did, all the stuff that he took on his chest and was able to perform at a high level week in and week out, go out there, win a national championship. Why not Will Howard as a guy? I genuinely do believe he's going to get serious consideration, and he'll get Purdy comparisons or whatever. I don't care about that comparison garbage, but he's a gamer, he's a winner, he'll get love. I'd take him on NFL team ASAP.
Part of loving this sport to me is just following a guy and watching him go through the ebbs and flows, because this isn't always easy. And Will Howard did go through it a little bit, and Will Howard had some struggles, and then he came out the other side, and I don't think I'll ever forget. I can say, I said an hour after they beat Michigan, they're going to win the national title. I can say that all day long. But it wasn't until I saw those first two quarters, that first quarter against Tennessee, and you all watched it. You all remember it. That first quarter against Tennessee was like, whoa, now this is something different. This is the team that lost Oregon by 1, the team that even beat Penn State, the team that beat Indiana. This right here is something different. And then you're like, okay, well, maybe Tennessee didn't belong. Maybe Tennessee was kind of skating along. So let's see about Oregon, because we know Oregon can beat them. And then they did the shit against Oregon. And now now all of a sudden, oh, my God, they have locked it in. And they never really reached that Oregon level again. They kind of they were good enough to beat Texas by 2 touchdowns, but that was a pretty good game. They were good enough to win by 11 tonight, even though they didn't play their A game. But this playoff showed the potential they had the whole time.
I mean, Texas hung around until the very end of the game. Then obviously it did end up being a 2-score game. But I mean, we were all sitting in here because we were in Columbus for the college football show. We were there, to do the pregame show. We get on the plane, we come back here.
If those fans weren't super confident that day. We can say it now, can't we?
I mean,
I didn't feel like Ohio State fans were walking around with a big dick swagger that day.
Tennessee
we weren't. We weren't. Like, we definitely weren't. Like, the closer you got to the game, the better I felt. But because it was something I'd said too, Ryan Day has been very good. Like in these playoff settings, like the team's always been ready. Like that first playoff game, even going back to the 14 playoff, like they've always came prepared, like ready to go. Like even like Georgia game, like came off the Michigan loss, bang, like they respond to. That's an incredible Georgia team. They went toe to toe with, had a field goal to win it. I mean, the Clemson game, they beat the shit out of Clemson. The one before that where the year LSU won at Burrow, like they should have won that game. Had some heartbreaking things happen.
Yeah,
of some points on the board. They got screwed by that scoop and score. They got taken back was bullshit. So he's always had them ready to play in the playoffs, always. So this time when they jumped on him like that, but I definitely was like, that's the moment I was like, national title. I was worried about it. And when they jumped on Tennessee, I was.
I got it. Hold on. I just have to say it because Blutman just texted it to me. Dan Wolken just tweeted this.
No.
I know he sucks.
Oh, is it a good tweet?
No.
Oh, it's a bad tweet.
Oh, no, it's news. It's not like his opinion about anything.
It's just.
Can I read the man's tweet?
When you say Dan Wolken, something.
He's awful. He sucks.
He's broke news.
Bizarre scenes from the Notre Dame locker room. Players yelling at reporters. Coaches warning people not to ask certain questions. Amateur hour. Apparently, it's just melting down in Notre Dame's locker room right now. Now, again, I must preface that by saying Dan Wolken is one of the true idiots we have covering this sport. He is a fucking moron and a loser who doesn't deserve his job covering the sport because he hates this sport. So let me say that. Anything Dan Wolken says, I'm usually going to put on the back burner because he is a fucking moron, but he's inside the locker room saying that all chaos is breaking loose in there. Have you seen that anywhere else? Or just
I'm looking for video.
No, okay. I'm going to say there's one of two options here.
Yeah.
A, it's true, and if that's true, that is absolutely shocking because of everything we've said about Notre Dame and how Marcus Freeman runs that program.
I know what B is going to be, and you're probably right.
Is that he is wildly embellishing that.
Correct.
That, like, one guy wouldn't answer a question and, like, the AD or whoever was like, hey, man, like, don't ask that question, and now Dan Wolken's acting like it's World War III.
I might have to release my list of college football people who fucking suck because Dan Wolken is way near the top. Pat Forty's right there with him. Like, there's just guys that are way, way up there.
We're going to put a pin in this, but if I was a betting woman on this specific subject, I'm going to say that it's the latter and that he's embellishing it, but hey, I could be wrong. Mm-hmm. I have a very hard time believing that Marcus Freeman's running a program where all hell's breaking loose.
Yeah, get ready, Wolken. Get ready, Barrett Selly.
That just the image of that locker room, imagining
it's probably.
So
have
funny.
You seen Mean Girls?
It's probably one guy in there throwing something and yelling "fuck," and Dan Wolken's, "Oh my god."
You know the scene in like the original Mean Girls where like they're all like fighting each other like this? That's the way that I'm picturing that. There's no way that's actually happening, and if it is, then there's some explaining that has to be done, but I just don't see Marcus Freeman allowing it.
After the holiday hustle, there's nothing like giving your home a little TLC, whether you're tidying up, cleaning out, or just want some new looks to start the year. Wayfair. Is this new? Or have we ever had them?
Yeah, just started.
Wayfair has got everything you need. Do they know me? Because I've been on Wayfair a bunch. I'm a Wayfair.
My brother in Christ. I am a Wayfair fiend.
I mean, my
and I
God.
have been for a minute.
Like, do they just find out about me? And they're like, well, we better advertise with him because we're sending in boxes every other week anyway. Wayfair's got everything you need all within your budget. I mean, I got couches, I got beds, I got outdoor furniture, I got indoor furniture.
The lighting fixtures they have?
Yeah, it's great.
Incredible.
There's something for every style and every home, no matter your space or budget. Wayfair makes it easy to tackle your New Year's home goals with endless inspiration for every space and budget, whether you need a light refresh or an organizational overhaul. Give your home the refresh it needs with Wayfair. Head to wayfair.com right now. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. Why don't you double up right here and let's just start getting back down to business of football. Yeah, I got a Huel fridge right there.
I was literally about to say, you've got the fridge over there. I see the protein. So I love the greens. I've been talking about this if you've been watching the podcast since Huel came on board. They have the daily greens, which makes it so easy, but also their Black Edition ready to drink is the complete meal in a bottle, high in protein, low in sugar, and packed with all the nutrients your body needs to perform at its best. It makes your most inconvenient meals the easiest thing in the world. No prep, no cooking. Say goodbye to getting hangry and unsatisfying snacks. Just grab a Huel instead. Like I mentioned, they have the daily greens, and I usually have the packet, and I'm holding it up nice because it's got all your daily vitamins, all your amino acids, every essential thing you could need, and it's just one scoop into water. It's changed my daily routine. I can't even talk about how much I love Huel. So take a leap and join the community of hooligans. Hooligans. With this exclusive offer for new customers, you get 15% off plus a free gift with code UR15 at Huel.com. That's 15% off with a free gift for new customers. UR15 at HUEL.com. Start your year off strong. Unlock a healthier and easier way to eat with Huel. Nutritionally complete meals in minutes, and you can focus on what really matters. And I can't talk about the greens enough, Brandon.
All right, several observations. Number one, LeBron James was there in a Buckeye hat that had Buckeye stickers all over it. What did he do to earn those?
Donate a lot of money to the university.
Fair enough.
I'm so confused. I went to Notre Dame.
Number two.
Also the comically small. I know it's probably a wine glass or a cocktail glass, but the glass in his hand was crazy.
Number two, the Pat McAfee show was on the sidelines, and they are wonderful and funny and great. And, I know I don't know how many people here know him. I know him a little bit. You know him probably more than I do. Pat McAfee's incredible. They had a guy in a Lou Holtz mask. Was that a miss? He didn't look like Lou Holtz.
Well, it was a definite miss from listening to it on mute, because we were obviously watching the main broadcast. So I don't know if it was funnier.
Just looked like an old dead man.
And that he was dead at some point.
He didn't look like Lou Holtz. Number three, how's Lou Holtz doing? Anybody checked up on him?
Fuck Lou Holtz.
Fuck Lou Holtz. Get it off your chest. Get off your whole chest.
Credit to Ryan Day, though, for not saying anything about Lou Holtz.
Yet.
That's okay. He can do it now. Just don't do it in your postgame. Go off, King.
Lou Holtz is an old geriatric bitch. He's a fucking loser. He shouldn't have ran his mouth. We kicked his ass last year. We kicked his ass again. His old fuck ass in there. He about to get carried out of there in a fucking stretcher. Fuck Lou Holtz. 80-year-old fuck. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Loser.
You know what, Ev?
Fuck him.
I'm winner. He's a loser.
Yeah.
Ev, you said that you want to be, or you don't, or do want to be insufferable. I don't know what.
He does.
I do. I do. I want by the time this podcast starts, like next year, we're not going anywhere, but I'm saying when it starts next year, I want you guys to be sickly. I want you guys to be having conversations amongst the two of you, being like, I hope they don't fucking win it again. I'm sick of this.
No, I'm going to be honest.
That's what I want.
We have to live vicariously through you. Like this podcast.
I'd love that. Hop on board, please.
Like this is, Buckeye Brandon, I feel like you haven't Buckeyed.
Because I've never been an Ohio State fan. I was simply anti-Michigan last year, and I saw through their bullshit, and that made me Buckeye Brandon. Now, I have always said Ohio State's an incredible program, and I said they had the most talented roster this year. If that makes me a Buckeye fan, so be it. But that's the absolute truth. Now, I, like everybody else, wondered when Ryan Day would figure it all out and get out of his own way. I, like everybody else, watched him lose to Michigan, and my mind was just in a stupor. But ultimately, getting there, it doesn't matter how you got there. It just matters that you got there. And Ryan Day has now got there. And like Kirby Smart when he broke through and he won one again the next year, I think Ohio State's always going to be roster-wise the top three team in the country. And Ryan Day's going to be around this thing all the time. They're going to win 2 or 3 more under this guy.
Ev, I mean, this is
at least.
This is we do this podcast all off season. Obviously, last year we took a little break when we were revamping. But if you're not insufferable, what's the point of winning a national title? I mean, we're all insufferable for our teams, and we don't win national titles. Like that's the whole point in college football.
We have people in this company that are insufferable for 7-5 teams. So we better have somebody be insufferable for a fucking. Oh, also, you have Tate too, and he's insufferable as fuck.
The fact that he was popping.
What did he do?
What did he do?
Went to Dave's office, got
Oh.
crown, got the robe.
Good for him. Good for him.
Did you FaceTime Dave or no?
No, I was gonna after this. I was gonna have someone film it. His bitch ass ain't gonna answer.
Well, you should do it on the podcast.
Should I do it?
I mean, he's not gonna. He's right.
Should I do it just to try?
Yes.
Yeah, he's not gonna answer.
Liam,
film that.
Film that just in case. I mean, he has to answer this, right?
He ain't gonna answer.
Do you know Dave Portnoy?
I feel like.
Have you ever met this man?
Yeah, well, yeah, but
ain't no chance he's answering this.
I think he's gonna answer it. I think he's gonna answer. FaceTiming Dave.
He ain't gonna answer. No chance.
I guess we are talking about the
He
same
tweeted about the first drive and then just didn't tweet about the game again.
You know what? We are talking about the same guy that walked out, took the phone call when Tiger was
correct.
Right. Yeah.
If you think that phone might be at the bottom of whatever bay he lives by or whatever Gulf he lives by.
I want everyone to know this is why when he FaceTimes me after the loss, I answer.
Yeah.
Because I stand. See that? Unavailable. Because when I take it out, I stand on it 10 toes down. I'm still saying fuck you. This guy, he takes an L. He's nowhere to be found.
Nowhere.
Davey ghost.
Coward.
That little scrimmage win, Davey, national champ.
I kind of thought that he might answer just to spin it. Oh, Brandon, I was
because he knows he can. He's gonna try to spin it whenever he has to address it.
Yeah.
But he knows deep down, like we're the champs. You can't say a fucking thing.
No.
Nothing.
Hey, Ev, I got a question for you. How's Blue Chew?
Let's talk about the hard dick bet.
Oh, my cock's so fucking hard, Kayce.
Give me this.
I've got the hardest cock in America thanks to Blue Chew.
There it is. Big Ev's got the hardest cock in America thanks to two things, Blue Chew and Ohio State football. Blue Chew is putting its money where its mouth is and offering you a month free. The process is simple. Sign up at BlueChew.com. Consult with one of their licensed medical providers. Once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. Blue Chew tablets are made in the USA and prepared and shipped directly to your door. You can take them anytime, day or night, so you can plan ahead, Big Ev, or you can be ready when the opportunity arises. The best part, it's all done online. No visits to the doctor's office, no awkward conversations, no waiting in line at the pharmacy. We can all relate to wanting to feel more confident, especially in the bedroom. Blue Chew can help. Make life easier by getting harder and discover your options at BlueChew.com. And we've got a special deal for our listeners. Try our first month of Blue Chew free. That's BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring this podcast. Once again, try your first month of Blue Chew for free at BlueChew.com for more details. All right, let's start to wrap it up. Are we doing a second podcast later this week to really put a bow on the season? Or we should, right?
Yes, we are.
Yeah, we should. Let's just macro level or macro or micro, I don't know. This was not only a victory for Ohio State, this was the end of a historic season in college football where we had a 12-team playoff for the first time. And for the most part, the 12-team playoff, it had some hits and had some misses. It had the Texas-Arizona State game. It had the Penn State-Notre Dame game. It had some terrific games. It had a lot of snoozers. But ultimately, I think what happened this year was we had a playoff to determine the deserving and best champion, and that is exactly what happened. And if you are trying to have an equitable playoff, an equitable championship situation in a sport, you want to design a system that gives you the right champion. And Blutman, people can say if they want to bitch about it, they can bitch about the 12-team playoff. This is the best system that we've had. Maybe they tweak it going forward. They got to get rid of certain things like the automatic buys, and they got to get the seeding right. They didn't really get the seeding right, but this gave us the right champion, correct?
Yeah, valid. I'm still with 8, but
I mean 8 would be
and the same champion anyway.
8 was probably the right number this year. We probably had 8 teams.
8's going to be the right number 98% of the time.
Maybe, but they're you know how money works.
Yeah, I get it. We'll
they're
have
not
64 soon.
They're not putting the toothpaste back in the tube. They're not going from 12 to 8. So we just have to live with what we got.
Has anyone ever put toothpaste back in the tube?
Why would they?
Yeah, that's a great analogy.
You just flush it down the sink.
Yeah, just don't put it back in the tube. Anyway,
I do think that once they get the seating correct,
this could be the best system.
This is going to be the best system. Like, yes, you're still going to have some blowouts. I mean, we saw. I understand 2 different sports and whatever. I mean, it's still football, but like we see blowouts the whole wild card round for the NFL. Like you're never going to
see a blowout in every sport, every playoff.
Yeah, you're never going to avoid that completely. But once they get the seeding correct, then I do think that it'll make it much better. The problem is that that side of the bracket was so much more difficult. But I just have to love this. Like I don't. And I know there are going to be people out there that are going to be like, see, like it doesn't matter if you lose 2 games in the regular season. It doesn't matter if you lose to your rival. Well, you didn't go out and win 4 games. Like
one more thing.
Yeah.
This game did happen too late.
Oh, it's
it shouldn't happen January 20th. They got to move. They got to tighten the calendar a little bit.
Are you going to have the Feinbaum take? People are mad about it.
I hate Feinbaum. I do not like him.
You know what take him?
I think he's a bad person. I think his take is exactly right. Why? He also never said
it's a slippery.
He also said he never said move it. What he said was it's a wasted Saturday. We only have Army Navy that day. Why not have Army Navy at noon and then have the playoff that afternoon and night? Why give Army Navy that day all to themselves? We're wasting time. We're hurting teams. We're also every team that had a bye and had to wait 3 weeks to play lost in this playoff. Now maybe they were going to do it anyway, but they did. So I just tighten this thing up and let's get this thing done about January 8th.
Well, the last round was the 8th and the 9th. Like if you have and I hate playing on Monday. I know you can't compete with the NFL. Blah blah blah. Whatever. But like ended around the 10th, 11th, 12th, whatever that may be. Having to wait till the 20th and you're going into NFL Conference Championship weekend.
Well, not just that. We last time we had it was Thursday and Friday of a week and a half ago, right?
Right.
We then had a full weekend of NFL playoffs that week, and then another full weekend of NFL playoffs. The NFL just stepped in and took all the oxygen out of the room, and you're sandwiching. You're putting that all in between college football.
What if we did a Thursday night national championship?
I don't fucking know.
I actually don't think Monday's the bad thing. But I think it should have been the Monday after wild card.
Yeah.
Because Monday, Friday, I think I prefer Monday over Friday.
Right, but then they have to move everything back one.
It can't be on the weekend because of the NFL playoffs.
But then they have to move it back one because.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, the Army Navy. Listen, no disrespect to the troops, no disrespect to Army Navy.
They don't need the day to themselves.
No, they can play early in the day. They can keep. I don't even keep kickoff. I don't care.
They need to keep their standalone. Like when they play, they need to be the only.
They can have that.
That's fine.
They need to be the only game.
But play that night.
So then 2 questions here. One, what happens when the Army Navy, one of them makes the playoff?
Yeah, that's
what happens then? I mean, we just played a
season
issue where both of them were in.
That's a fair issue.
Correct. And then 2 was, I did not never felt like today was a national championship game happening today.
It was weird. It was weird.
I was curious if that was just me sitting on the couch watching sports
being up for
35 hours
no,
or if that was you guys too.
It's
you're
just
not alone, but
the air was out of the balloon a little bit.
Do you think?
Correct.
And I mean, obviously, not to get into politics. Do you think anything of it had to do with the fact that there was an inauguration?
It could be. I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot
going on.
Again, this was the first go of this 12-team playoff. They learned that they can tighten some things up. Now we need to get out of here because I got to drive home. But Big Ev, you are the national champion here.
Say it with your chest.
I'm about to close down the podcast. Before I do, you have 1 minute to 2 minutes to say whatever you would like.
Also, go buy the shirt.
I would say first off, buy the merch right now. Buckeyes by a Billion, store.bostonsports.com. Ryan Day Revenge Tour. Get those. Fire.
The back of those are great.
Playoffs. Fire.
Show this one.
Here.
See them all. Show them all the Natty merch. Go get it right now. But just shout out to the senior class that came back, that all ponied up, that wanted this moment. They got it. Shout out to Jack Sawyer, JTT, Lathan Ransom, Cody Simon, Donovan Jackson. Donovan Jackson, unsung hero of this team, played anywhere on the line, lose 2 of our best offensive linemen. He was really the anchor that held this team down. Also, shout out Day. Shout out Jim Knowles, who totally turned this defense around. We brought him in a couple years ago. Big time stuff out of Jim Knowles. This defense was a liability. Now it's a strength of the team. Chip Kelly called a hell of a game. Really called a hell of a year overall. Great job by him. And Will Howard, I mean, just was the leader that we needed to take this team. Veteran, won a Big 12 championship game, played in big games, came in and was his best in the playoff. He was the best quarterback in the playoff. Ton of people doubted him. He stepped up big. Caleb Downs is unbelievable. Travion Henderson coming back too, unbelievable. Judkins, 3 touchdowns for him, unbelievable game. This season was such a roller coaster. I love this team so much. I'm just so happy for everyone, for Buckeye Nation. We fucking did it. Buckeyes by a billion. Ohio State Natty champs. They can't take that from us. They can't say shit to us. Buckeyes by a billion forever.
All right.
I'm so happy. I'm just happy.
It's nice to be close to victory.
For one of
right?
our own. This is,
Yeah.
Somebody's got to be
And he's
happy.
not like a colossal fucking prick like Tate.
No.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, listen, I wish it was my team. I wish it was, a feeling I'll feel, but I'm happy for somebody else.
All right, we'll be back to later this week, and we'll put a bow on the season and everything. What?
I just, I don't know. I can't believe the season's over. Well, I might start crying. I don't know.
Shout out to Maurice Claret, who watching him at like 9 years old, win that national title. That's what made me want to be a Buckeye as a kid.
Gave you your shout-outs already.
I had to say it, though.
Imagine if you were like ringing a cowbell right now that meant something?
It's full circle that now getting to know him a little bit. He's such a good guy.
I want to shout out one more person. Tonight, we technically kind of an off day for the studio here. A lot of people didn't come in today. Lucussi, who works on Jerry After Dark, does a lot of other things, came in to produce this show for us on his night off, and he came in. Thank you. Shout out to Lucas for doing it.
So much.
Shout out to not gay Sean as well.
Helped us all year.
Grinding behind the scenes all
Sean
year.
Sean is awesome.
Legend. Love you,
also,
Sean. You're a beast.
Not that there's
I've never met you, but you are a beast.
Worked your ass off this year.
Yeah. Well, all right. That's Unnecessary Roughness. Congratulations to the Buckeyes and to Big F.